Welcome, Horror Fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Duff, and as always, I'm here with my co host, Jess and Jonathan. What's up, guys?
Hey, we
Hey.
have some more announcements to talk about.
I know. It's like they never stop now.
It's almost like they're leaking with announcements.
You should definitely follow us on social media at Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at HHN365, TikTok at HHN365pod. Also, join our Discord server. You'll find that link in the description where we're talking about all this fun stuff. Check out our merch at hhn365.com. And if you want to join us here on the show, you can leave a voicemail at 407-906-4134. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about all those announcements, of course. What else? There is a bunch of news and rumors, like actual news too, not just fake, like speculation news, which is exciting. And I think we can kick that off going over to Las Vegas and Universal Horror Unleashed, because Alicia Stella found a trademark application for Scarecrow the Reaping. Of course, this has already been in Orlando. This has already been in Hollywood. Kind of leaves one thing for a U.S. patent, I'd say, right?
I was like the UK.
Patent? It's not a patent. It's
Oh,
a U.S. trademark.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It does leave only one thing, right? Especially because Horror Nights doesn't even trademark their houses like usually. You don't usually see trademarks for houses,
yeah.
so this.
That's true.
I mean, Alicia Stella is speculating, and I mean, it makes sense that this would just go straight to Vegas, and it might be our first house, sort of idea of a house we might get at that experience. And I mean, how do we feel about that? If Scarecrow the Reaping, I don't know, probably closer to Orlando's version than Hollywood, because Murdy has said many times he has nothing to do with Vegas at all. He's like, don't talk to me about Vegas. I don't know anything about that. So probably something closer to Orlando's version. How do we feel about that? Possibly, I mean, coming to their Universal Horror Unleashed experience.
Rightfully so. I feel like if there's one original that nobody ever shuts up about, rightfully so, it's Scarecrow. So it's been done on both coasts. It's like the most, I guess it has the biggest reputation now in like the modern day houses. It's like up there with like a Gothic
Mm-hmm.
or like a Winter's Night kind of a house where like everybody talks about it who went. So I feel like, yeah, this should go to Vegas. I think it's a great choice, and it's scary as shit if it's taking inspiration from ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be near the top of fan favorite originals of all time. Top 10 for sure on basically everyone's list, and probably averages out higher than that even. And the fact that this one has been on both coasts, I think, really drives the marketability of the experience. So yeah, I think it really does make the most sense out of basically any original you could pick.
It does, and it's funny you bring it up that it's been at both coasts. So like it did very well on both coasts. I mean, even on the Hollywood side, it's still my favorite house I've experienced at Hollywood, and I know it's up there for you guys too. Not favorite, but like still near the top. And
Yeah.
it brings up an interesting question about we were talking about a couple weeks ago with Jonathan from the Hotline, that why would Hollywood have a house called Dead Exposure, even if it's really, we've discussed it, nothing like Dead Exposure at all. And he was like, synergy could be for synergy, having both coasts connected more and more and more, getting more connected. And I mean, this is an example of when both coasts, especially, can share something like Scarecrow the Reaping. All of a sudden, if it ends up in Vegas, it's going to be a lot more popular and a lot more, I guess, a lot of more people are going to know about it and be, like, oh, we want to go to Vegas and experience this, compared to if it was just at Orlando. The fact that it's at both, especially considering Vegas is closer to California than it is Florida. I mean, it's just a smart business decision at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Synergy.
definitely. And I will say, on a more personal level, I am excited to see Scarecrow again. I don't love repeating originals. Of course, at Vegas, that's going to be the experience. So if I got to see anything, this is definitely something I prefer to see over some of the other options they could have chose of the more popular originals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Best case scenario, I feel like, in at least my opinion.
Hmm. Definitely, and I feel like it's an easier one to recreate. at least from a scenic and like makeup and costume element.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like a safe bet to work out pretty well.
Also easy on the actors because like yeah, the I would say that the masks were probably not comfortable, but they weren't like overbearing, kind of like,
Hmm.
The Last of Us or like what else was rumored?
Depths of fear.
Yeah, Depths of Fear, like Five Nights at Freddy's even was like heavily rumored at one point to be the IP over there. So like I think that this is a good choice for the original because it's going to be the easiest on the actors as well that are doing this like every fucking day.
Hmm.
Because that's a lot.
Yeah, it's not easy, and like you say, this is not a 2 month event. This is every day they're gonna have to put up with this shit. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna end up like at what rate they switch out houses. Like is Scarecrow the Reaping gonna be something that stays for a while, or they're gonna do it for like a year or two and be like, all right, what's the next famous original that we can pull, and they keep like rotating through those.
Mm,
hmm, I'd have to imagine there's gonna be some sort of rotation. It could be a decent period that it'll be there, but I think at some point these will get overhauled and they'll bring in another original.
yeah.
I mean, it's a year-round haunt. Like you can only have it for so many years, the same house for so many years, without people kind of getting bored of it.
It's true.
Yeah. And then I also feel like however long they decide, a house stays, and then the first, whatever the first one in that does get changed out of however many there are going to be, like, does that then start the rotation of annually, then another house gets changed?
Mm,
So that would be really
maybe.
interesting. So, like, oh, let's say that we're going to have, we'll say it is Scarecrow. We're going to have Scarecrow for what, a year, 2 years? I would assume maybe the opening houses we'll see for 2 years, maybe.
Hmm.
So after 2 years, then I would assume an IP would go first because that would have the shorter kind of, licensing. So that would go, and then if there's three mazes, that would be 1 year. And then so what would this one be here for potentially 4 or 5 years if that's what we're going off of? Just like a guesstimate.
Hmm.
Maybe.
That's kind of crazy because then that's kind of like a knots rotation, which is a normal regional haunt kind of a thing.
It's true.
I don't know.
Y- Yeah, I mean, it really could kind of go that route fully, being more akin to what you'd see at basically any haunt that's not HHN.
Yeah. Just things
So
to think about.
I guess we'll see. But again, if it is Scarecrow, great. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
So are you ready to move on to HHN Hollywood news?
I think I am. Yeah, why not?
Awesome, because I've been dying to talk about this one because this is something from our friend Kevin, who gets us construction pictures from HHN Hollywood and Universal Studios Hollywood. And Kevin, like we've already talked about in the show before, but Kevin is like a genius when it comes to figuring out what facades are, even when they're just like a piece of wood. He can just be like, I know what that is, and just figure it out just based on a couple of key details surrounding the facades, maybe the way like there's like a door in it, how it's laid out, or a window or whatever. He has an amazing gift of figuring out this stuff. Like he was able to tell Holidays in Hell when it was just like, once again, just a thing of wood, like nothing too crazy. But speaking of that, we're going to go to the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire facade on the H lot, which has been confirmed by John Murdy. And now Kevin has been guessing that this facade has been Ray's occult books the whole time through the construction process, and we finally have the sign. It has been installed over the door. It says Ray's occult books right there, straight from the movie, straight from 2 in Frozen Empire. There it is, and I mean, it's confirmed. It's Ray's occult books. And before we move on from this topic, of course, there's also a St. Mark's Deli sign that was put like on the far left of the facade. Which, if you look at pictures from Frozen Empire sets, that was also like on their Ray's occult book set. So it makes sense that that's there as well. But yeah, how do we feel about this?
I mean, it's already been confirmed. It is cool to kind of see it at this point, thinking about how long ago Kevin said, "I think this is what this is." So now seeing it like actually fully get
Mm-hmm.
realized, it's fun. Um, I still haven't seen Frozen Empire.
It
It's
comes
coming
out
onto Netflix
tomorrow.
tomorrow, so I will be
Yeah.
watching it soon. But I mean, yeah, I don't really have too much of an opinion on this as the facade. I just like the whole process that we've gone from. Look at this plywood. This is going to be Ray's occult books, and then yep, sure enough, here it is.
Yeah. I remember, I think Jonathan, you said it. You were like, "Yeah, Kevin says it's this," and I'm like, "Okay." It's I'm like, "Sure, I believe him. I don't know." And now you're right. So, is the okay, so I obviously haven't seen it. Is this the Ghostbuster owns the bookstore? 'Cause is it one of them,
Yeah,
right?
Ray is the Dan Aykroyd. Yeah,
Okay,
and he has
gotcha.
this bookstore in both Ghostbusters 2, when they like stopped being Ghostbusters for a bit, so he owns like a bookstore, and then
Oh,
also
okay.
Frozen Empire. So this is something that I will say, even though like this is tied very much to Frozen Empire and important, it is cool that the facade isn't like just something directly from Frozen Empire, like here's the ghost
Mhm.
lab or whatever. It's like, no, this thing, even though it is from this movie, it is also tied to Ghostbusters, quote unquote history, where it has very heavy ties to Ghostbusters 2 as well. So I do, if you're not going to do the Firehouse again, which I understand, I don't think they want to do it twice. This isn't a
Mhm.
bad one to choose, in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I think we could stay in Hollywood, but a very special return. Actually, did you guys do it last week? I don't know.
No, I don't think there were any
There it
last
is,
week.
special return.
Did you guys not have any when I was gone, or did somebody do it for me?
No, but we wouldn't do it out of respect because it's just
Wow.
not the same if we don't. So we were just like, yeah, it's this.
Murdy tweets! Murdy tweets! They're back.
It's back. It feels right. Just feels right now.
Can I do the first one? I want to do. I'm back. Uh, question: will there be a performer in front of the T-pad slash H house facades? Answer: you'll find out the answer to one of those questions next weekend. And what's next weekend, guys?
Midsummer
Midsummer
Scream.
Scream.
Oh,
We were in sync on that.
that you
That
were.
was
That was kind
yeah.
of crazy. It took me by surprise.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Well, what do we think that is, guys?
I mean, T, I mean, H lot. Both of those house facades have already, like, both of those houses have been confirmed already. They're already announced, Insidious and Ghostbusters. So it's gonna be
Mhm.
T pad, which is, I mean, out of the options, that's the only one it could be here, and that is heavily rumored. I do, to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, an original take on the franchise, not the Netflix film, but like this is a
Okay.
completely original one. Things got a little confusing because Six Flags is doing the Netflix film. The rights are like very weird
Hmm.
with Texas, but Hollywood is specifically like the rumor is right now an original take on the franchise, like like the original movies.
Okay. That's the one with the meat plant.
Mm-hmm.
Meat
Yes.
processing. I don't know what
Yes.
I'm trying to say. Whatever the comment was last week.
Yeah. I only saw the comment, and I don't need to know more, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
There was a fence. That was all we talked about last week. There was a fence, and that was the new construction update for that facade. Um, but yeah, okay. So we're probably getting Texas announced at Midsummer.
Let's go! I'm sorry. I'm so excited. Like I know it's Texas
No, that's
Chainsaw,
exciting.
but like, and I know we've had it in especially. I feel bad for Hollywood people, though. It does look like this one is
Mhm.
like going a completely different route. But I do feel bad because especially for people who go to Hollywood, they've had Leatherface like every almost every year. Um, but me being such a big fan of Orlando's house, and Hollywood's house too, when I went in 2021, I'm we're gonna wait till it's announced officially and whatever. It could be something, Murdy pulls something and it's not that. But I mean, I'm ready. That'd be a good midsummer announcement for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I think that it'll be really scary, and that's fun for me.
I do like scary. When
Yeah,
scary works, I'm a happy man.
yeah, I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen Leatherface in Hollywood, so
He's different
He
there.
gets aggressive.
well, I also the only time I've seen Leatherface there was a like curtains and vinyl and protection.
Oh, that is true. So
Yeah,
this is your
so
first in your face Leatherface experience.
He
this is
had
gonna
me
be scary.
he had me on the floor in 2021 in Hollywood's house. So with that, and that was
I'm
with
sure.
Yeah.
some kind of a little bit of restrictions. So They,
If it's the scene, I think it is the one
not
where he
that one.
sprints at
Yeah,
you.
not that one.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
Oh
because like
god.
there was almost no restrictions in Hollywood, so
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm gonna die. There's well, go check out our YouTube channel to see a video of that in October of Jess dying in Texas Chainsaw.
oh, that's gonna be great clickbait.
That is
Jess dies. Your
actually,
screaming face.
yeah, literally, just dies at HHN Hollywood.
Like and subscribe for this death.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my
I'm
god.
so scared. I'm so
All right,
scared.
let's move on to some more Murdy tweets. Oh no, where are we? There we are. What kind of special effects could we expect for Insidious? He says, we have a new thing we're trying out in the house, but it's not specifically a special effect. But there's some other effects too. Not nice ones.
Dun, dun,
What?
Not nice ones. Like, not nice as in the effects aren't nice, or like not nice and like, well, that's not very nice.
Uh,
I would assume the latter.
I would
I would
hope so.
hope so.
We're just walking through like, oh, that wasn't a nice effect. Ugh,
No.
that was kind
Maybe
of garbage.
maybe he just did a walkthrough and that was his initial reaction to some of the effects.
Can I be?
I
Yeah,
go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
want to be honest because I wasn't on the last episode when you guys talked about Insidious. Murdy,
Mhm.
like we have one more to talk about, but Murdy has like really said nothing about Insidious, and
Mhm.
like he's when he did his little like here's Insidious, here's a little bit about it. He barely seemed enthusiastic. Like it kind of
Mhm.
seemed like, and I hate to say this, but it, we know John Murdy. There's some houses that he's really excited for, like Chucky, and you can tell he's excited for them, and it's like wow. And usually when he is, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a really good house in Hollywood. When Murdy's not excited for something, I'm not going to say it's guaranteed to not be great, but it's not a good sign. And this definitely seems like a house, which we could be reading it wrong and maybe just like really busy and doesn't have time, whatever. But right now, from what we're getting, this doesn't like seem like a house that he's super passionate about at the moment.
Hmm.
And that kind of scares me a little bit.
I will say I also feel similarly to Ghostbusters, where he just doesn't have that same hype level
Mm-hmm.
where you see out of him a lot.
Wasn't he also like that though with Quiet Place? I feel like when that, or maybe it was, I don't know what announcement it was, but he was just like not
Hmm.
really answering any questions.
This year,
But it,
um,
yeah, but it wasn't while I was gone. It was like
I
right
think
before I
it
left.
was Ghostbusters that we were saying that.
But I don't think I was on that episode.
Were you not? I mean,
I don't remember.
I don't think he said too much about A Quiet Place either, but I think he
Yeah.
definitely said more than he's been saying about these recent
and the
IPs.
thing with Ghostbusters, right? The difference between Ghostbusters and Insidious in my eyes is that Ghostbusters, he kept being like, "Man, we got some surprises for you. Like there were some shocks
Mm,
here. Like like it seemed like what he wasn't saying. A could be because he can't, because IPs, whatever. But also because he really, if he does say stuff about this, probably the stuff he's most interested in, I'm guessing, is things that are not Frozen Empire. Like it would spoil it. Um, but like with this, he wasn't even like, I don't want to say anything for like the surprise or whatever, like anticipation. He's just like, yeah, I like the franchise, it's good, and we're having a house, it's on the H slot. Like he didn't even like try to be like, I'm not saying anything because of like I want to surprise you guys. It was just he just didn't say anything.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
is he getting
And
He
tired?
might be tired. I mean,
maybe
it's the season's almost ready, so it could be he's just like really busy right now. I don't know.
Oh,
he's
I
probably got
meant
a lot of
like,
late/early meetings.
I also meant like, is he just getting tired overall, like, of doing this?
Oh, maybe.
Because like it just feels like the way he's talking about it feels like how he talked about Last of Us last year, like, but about every IP.
Hmm.
And it's giving very like he might need like a break. I don't
I
know.
mean, if you need a break, take your break. It's okay. It's all
Yeah,
right.
everybody needs a little brain break, Murdy. Like, it's okay. You could go take a like a little sabbatical, give the event to somebody else for a year.
Hmm.
Preferably a team of people if you do. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe the team that already helped you.
Could
Maybe.
work. Could work.
I don't know.
Crazy idea, but you know.
Yeah, I just want to hear. I want to hear him talk about things he's excited about. That's it.
Well, the last thing we have that is related to Insidious too. Someone said, I had to rephrase the quote a little bit because it was kind of worded weird. So this isn't the exact quote.
Mm.
But basically, it was, are we going to hear iconic quotes that have been in past Insidious houses in this year's house? And he went, sure. So,
See?
well,
The answers are just so uninspired.
Yeah. This segment of Murdy Tweets is kind of uneventful.
This is more like a murdy
I get
tweet.
it too because like I feel like Hollywood has done Insidious so much.
They have.
Yeah.
This will be their fourth time.
Like if I was like running an event, I kind of be tired of this property too. I'd be like, come on, you know. And I know people don't love the new movie either, so it's not like, oh man, we have so much more, like,
Mhm.
passion for this one to incorporate it. You know, he's talking like how
Yeah.
I feel about the franchise. So I mean, there we go.
It's gonna be scary. Like, there's that at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
'Cause
sure in
then
Hollywood
again,
it'll be terrifying.
yeah. I do have one question. I saw it on Twitter this week, but doesn't the Quonset hut now has a van crashed into it?
It does.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about it, but maybe we didn't. Um,
No, I think that happened recently, but yeah, okay, we'll talk about it now.
yeah.
The Dead Exposure House, it's Dead Exposure Death
Hmm.
Valley.
Hmm.
There's now like a white van, like crashed right into the front of it. With there was a big hole before we were talking about it, but yeah, there's a van. I'm not really understanding. Granted, it's early, but like where the house entrance is in like relation to the facade when I look at it, because I see like where we go to the right of that, but I don't see where the space is
Hmm.
between the fence and the van. So I'm curious.
I think it's just the angle of the photos because it kind of has that
True.
wall blocking it, so it probably is like right
Mm,
tucked in there. We just can't see it from the angle of the photos where you can capture that facade.
yeah, but it looks good. I'm so excited to see my Quonset hut.
I will say the only thing I don't like about it yet that could change is that just kind of like I don't know white
Hmm.
Yeah.
and like it almost doesn't look like any particular building. It doesn't look like a building. It just looks like something they painted white.
I
I don't know. I don't fully know how to quantify what I'm saying here, but
I get it.
yeah, it doesn't have a complete look to it.
It needs
Uh,
details still, too.
and I don't know if it's just the way it's painted or if it just needs some more stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, got it.
It
Yeah.
has
We'll see.
it has been kind of in a state where it's just sort of been like this ever since the van was added. They've had some detail or
Mhm.
whatever, but it's kind of just sort of been the same since then. And
Yeah.
Hmm.
I sort of feel what you're saying because usually I'm like, all right, like let's, there's more to add, but like the weeks are going by and it's like every time there's little stuff added, I'm like, all right, this can't be the final thing. Like there needs to be some more, right? Like there's some more stuff that
Hmm.
needs to happen. So I'm really hoping in the
Yep.
coming weeks, we get some big changes again, and maybe they're just like rushing on that Ghostbusters facade that they like probably were holding for the announcement to happen.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah, maybe.
Monstrous, because Monstrous, that facade is like, it looks almost done. And I was watching a video. I can't remember who it was. It's somebody based out in Hollywood earlier. And they were saying that last year the walls came down like first or second week of August. So they're expecting them to come down soon
Ooh,
by Monstrous because the facade is like almost done from what we can
there's
tell.
been like
Yeah.
vines added now to like show the age
Hmm.
of it, and
Yep. You can see where they're going to put lighting in or maybe like another animatronic this year,
mm,
like the owl last year.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know.
it's exciting.
Well, let's move on to Orlando in that case, where we're gonna talk about slash not at all talk about the biggest thing right now, which of course is the leak, which included final house announcement for Orlando, all of Orlando's zones, which we've now received two of at this point officially, and this year's Nightmare Fuel, which we've also received now. All these were leaked on the Universal Orlando team member website, which is a public site, by the way. You don't actually need to be a team member to go look at this website,
Mhm.
But we do
which
not
I've always
encourage you to go look at
no.
it.
Also, it's not there anyway. So if you want
Correct.
to go for the leak, that was removed. So you're not going to find the leak there. Uh, if you want to find the leak, it is around on Twitter. You can find it. I think people have said it in YouTube videos at this point.
Yeah.
It's available for you. We just are not going to discuss that. Talking direct leaks is not our thing. Rumors, speculation, bioreconstruct photos, stuff like that. Stuff to discuss like that we'll do. Straight up leaks of announcements, we will stay away from.
Mm. And I feel like there's no point even talking about it either because I feel like we're gonna end up
No.
getting everything very soon at this point.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll see you very soon.
And the leak does indicate that, by the
It
way.
does.
So just saying.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another live this week with something, an announcement to talk about. Who knows at this point? Like,
Who knows? Someone knows.
someone.
I think a lot of people
Yeah.
know. Anyways, we're not discussing this
Let's
leak
talk
any
about
further.
things we do know.
Code
We
names
do.
or the
Woo!
section
Lack thereof.
the section of this little new segment I called code names because there's two things that have to relate to code names. And the first thing is kind of fun. Don't think it means much, but it does mean something. As we talked about before, on the Discover Universal blog, there are the key arts or key art pictures of all of the houses that have been announced. And if you click on it and open a new link, you can see in that URL the code name for that house, and with the code name you'll know its respective location. We've had a whole episode talking about all of the, I think, 8 houses that had code names, and we can put together where they were in the park. But Insidious has recently been added to that Discover Universal blog because it's been officially announced, and it doesn't have the code name. The code name is not hidden in the URL. It's not there at all. And it's nothing too big, but I thought that was interesting about, why wouldn't it be hidden in the URL if all the other 8 ones were? Why are they hiding Insidious's code name? So, that's kind of fun.
Hmm.
It is interesting.
What do we know what this code name was like rumored to be or speculated to be?
Pudding, right? No.
Yes.
Yeah, pudding. I think so.
Pudding.
Interesting. We had a voicemail last week when it was just Mike and I that was someone saying why they thought Insidious was pudding because the man who can't breathe is in a retirement home and they eat a lot of pudding.
Oh, I love that.
So I just wanted to call back to that and make sure you guys
I
knew
love
about that voicemail because that is really funny now.
That is my favorite Insidious pudding theory.
I think they specifically said tapioca pudding, excuse me, is the reason why. Not just like regular pudding, tapioca.
Okay. Makes sense.
I love our
Makes sense.
listeners. I really do.
Yeah.
Really are the best.
I mean, that does ask, big and interesting question, especially whenever we get the 10th house, if that doesn't have it. If those don't have the code names, do we think they're
Mhm.
like, why wouldn't they? Like, did someone find out, like,
Yeah.
hey, don't add any more on the URLs, or someone just didn't get the message to even put the code name in the URL in the first place?
I don't know. Like, it's so easy
Yeah.
for them to update URLs if they weren't supposed to be there.
Right, so they could take away the code names if they
So
want
easy.
to.
Yeah. The only thing I could think is it would ruin links, but I don't know that they even link anything directly from social media to the Discover Universal blog of the announcement.
I'm not sure. I don't think they do.
So I think it was an accident. They would have just changed it. 'Cause it's a very easy update for them to make if they wanted to.
That makes sense. Maybe Blumhouse was like, you already leaked our house early, like in the park on the merchandise website. You're not leaking where it is.
I don't know why Blumhouse would give a fuck about a house
They
location.
wouldn't. That was more of a joke, but yes, they
Yeah.
wouldn't care.
I'm sure that's something that doesn't cross their mind one bit.
No, I'm sure the leak did cross their mind though when they started putting everything
The
early.
leak, yeah, the leak maybe.
Uh,
A code name, not so much.
If I was Blumhouse, I'd be more upset about Ticketgate burying my house announcement.
Yeah,
oh
right.
yeah,
They
That's
didn't
my
have time to
concern.
be upset about the leak.
Yeah, they didn't get a fucking house announcement that was worth shit. Like, the video was good, but we couldn't even play the video on our live the other day because it just kept playing the fucking Otis video over and over again.
they even didn't want you showing the Insidious trailer. I didn't care. Just thinking
No,
about tickets.
the universe said, fuck you.
Yeah. Still don't know how that happened, but it happened. So,
It was funny.
Gave up on that.
Well,
But yeah, I don't think if it was an accident, it's just very strange that they wouldn't then go fix the accidents. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there was some more fun to do with code names and permits, and that would be that our Discord mod Alex as always, has found some fun permits that have to do with the food tents. So now we know about, is it 5 current food tents? Um, and again, as always, this is because of their code name that we're kind of able to line this up. But we do have Donuts, which is currently rumored to be the Monsters House that we will eventually get announced. Um, and also Taters, which is not currently a code name. So don't look too much into that. It's probably Twisted Taters. Are both going to be Gramercy as the location. So Gramercy Park in New York, where that smoking area is what you'd
A
be looking for there. Then also there are 2 Ghostbusters booths, so that'd be s'mores, which are going to be Finnegan's, Pudding, which we just discussed to be Insidious, actually an unspecified location, and then Goblins by Lagoon, which could meet a couple spots technically.
I would assume so just looking at these, so I would assume that donuts and taters are the ones that are on like the Transformers bar side. The Ghostbusters
Mm-hmm.
booths are the ones on the street like on the way to Finn's.
Yep.
All these are all surrounding the smoking section. And then pudding, obviously we don't fucking know. And the lagoon, I would assume is the one on the bridge
That makes
because the
sense.
other ones are
I,
normally
I
the
think it
bar.
makes most sense for Goblins.
Yeah. Because it's in a tent. Or it could be the one where Chucky was, but I would assume that's going to
That's
be
what I
like
was
a
thinking. But that would be
sweet.
so far away. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, it's that one's probably going to be like a sweets booth,
Mm,
but we don't know yet. But yeah, that looks like a good. But Monsters is so far away from Monster.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although I guess Monsters doesn't matter quite as
Yeah,
much. That's more just something that you could fit into the park every year, even if there's not a house.
but why donuts? Is it like what kind of donuts?
Well, I don't know that's going to be donuts at all.
I don't know, but I want to know.
We'll know in a little over a month.
Yay! I can't believe that. Ugh. Well, we'll know by there'll probably be a preview beforehand, but we'll know by a premium scream night because they'll have the food booths.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, we'll know by team member preview probably
Yeah,
because people
yeah.
can't keep shit off Twitter.
Which will be the Tuesday this year, I believe
Yeah.
we had confirmed, right?
Don't when do unmasking start? Because that's
Very
soon.
soon.
The is it August
The 12th, right?
12th, right?
I
That
think.
is like that scares me. That's so soon. We're gonna have people inside houses like before we know it.
Yeah. Our social media hiatus is coming.
No,
Not 365, don't worry. We're still going to be posting. But like I will not be scrolling the timeline, I'll tell you that.
I'm gonna forget. And then I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna block people if I see anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And just a
Sorry.
reminder, if any of our Discord users are listening, even though you're posting an HHN spoilers channel, still spoiler tag anything from Unmasking the Horror before the
Mhm.
event starts.
Whether it be a picture or like details of what it
From
is,
anything.
I don't care what it is.
Anything.
We don't want to see any of
We
that.
will ban you, no questions asked.
Hmm. I
Ugh.
I do want to say about these food booths though, something that is very, I mean, exciting is that now we know Goblins is getting a food booth, like for sure now.
Yeah.
And that is really fun because I think we were all speculating, like, of course it's gonna, have some sort of food representation because it's literally, like it's a tavern, so it makes sense. So I'm happy that we are getting it. I think that's gonna be a really cool location.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Goblin could also be a food booth in Torture Fair too, like near it, because it would fit the same aesthetic.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
So I could see that kind of working, even if they're not like it's not near the house. It could be near the zone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They kind of go together.
uh,
I am excited because when this was announced, I said, all I want from Goblins is a food booth, and here we are. It's
Yeah.
happening. I'm getting that Goblin grog, baby.
I just hope that the drinks are different this year. I don't want the same couple and mixed drinks that we've had the last couple
get
years.
ready for ghoul juice.
No, please not.
But if we're all done talking about the food tent permits, we have another very interesting segment that was on the Discover Universal podcast. They had a podcast not based on original, like we've been getting for the past couple weeks, but based on an IP. It was actually a full discussion about A Quiet Place for Orlando specifically with Charles Gray. And basically, the team went with Charles Gray and asked him a bunch of questions about the house. And they had sort of discussions about the process of making some of the elements of the house and some of the things that are going to be in it and all that. And there are a lot of key takeaways from this that I want to reiterate to everyone listening are spoilers. These are legit spoilers for the house. I'm not going to say that any of these probably would like ruin your house experience if you heard them, because a lot of them are just like little things. But there are some things that if you don't want to know anything about A Quiet Place, like you want to go in completely blind, know nothing, like down to little details, then you can skip forward on this podcast and just skip a little bit, and so we're done talking about this. But yeah, I just want to give that warning because there are legit spoilers that we're gonna sort of cover some of the basics of what they talked about on that podcast.
Yeah, I think if you would, a good way to do it is let's just kind of rapid fire them, and we'll point out what we think is interesting.
Love it. Uh, so yeah, let's start. The bloody nail, which if you guys know was like an important part of the first movie, will be in the house as an Easter egg. I think Charles Gray described it as his favorite character. Um, this one is big because it's legitimately a scene. The scene where Lee, John Krasinski, says "I love you," is in the house, and they even described it saying that the daughter would pop out, then Lee would pop out, then Lee would like get pulled or die, and then it'd be like it almost the way he was describing it almost sounded like a double scare, though it could be any other interpretation as well. But that scene is going to be in the house. um, oh, they also said Charles Gray said this isn't something that would normally be in a Horror Nights house, but they said because we're already doing new things with this house, figured it was interested. We felt good to include it in this. They are going to try to get operations or ops to tell guests to shush as they go through to keep the role playing going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
good luck with that.
Let's talk about that for a
Let's
second
do it.
because if like let's be real. Like you're going to need to be in the house at like 1:55 a.m. and nobody else is around you to be able to get the perfect run of that where nobody's talking or
Yeah.
screaming or reacting and that's just the reality of the event.
Yeah, I don't think the shushing is functionally to get you to actually be quiet more than it's just kind of. It sounded like the way he worded it was to add to the theming and
Mhm.
immersiveness. Um,
Gotcha.
I I don't think they should.
Yeah.
These are not people paid to portray characters or actions to immerse you. They're there for your safety and flow and efficiency. Um, I don't think asking them to then participate in the act is appropriate. To be completely honest, unless you want to pay them more.
Yeah.
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 Discount the tickets and then I'll shush
But also, I think it's kind of cheesy. I'm gonna be honest to just have this person in the staff shirt, shh, like who's not actually in. I don't like it. I don't like that on many
You're
levels.
not
We'll see. We'll see what it looks like if it actually happens. But I don't like how it sounds and reads on paper.
Yeah, and like when you're in a
Mhm.
house to guest, you're not really supposed to notice them. Like you see ops, you
Hmm.
understand that they tell you where to go, but there's something in your brain sort of like you see them and you forget about them and you move on. They're all dressed in like a black cloak or not a black. No, they're not like Hollywood, but they are dressed in black. And they sort of blend into the environment a little bit. The point is to be immersed in your world, and ops are not part of that world, so they're just here to help you.
Hmm.
The minute you get them to play along is the minute that might start breaking the immersion a little bit, where you start to before you see them but you don't really notice them. When they start trying to play into it, then you actually notice them, and that could actually kind of hurt the immersion a little bit. And that's my thought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
um but moving forward, the house, in terms of like, because there's two movies, it's 1 and 2. How is it going to be, set up? The house is mostly chronological, which means going from the first film to the second film. But one scene is out of order because of how they decide to execute it. I am going to guess that this has to do with the day one part and two. Because I don't know what other scene they would switch or like move like to play around with that they would need to. I don't know. But like if they
Hmm.
start off with day one with in part two and then move to part one and then end with part two. Like that's the only thing I can think of at the top of my head for like that switch.
I honestly have no idea.
It could be
I
something
don't
as
know. I
simple
have
of like
homework.
this scene's at the end of the movie, but we're gonna put it like here because it's just a location we want to hit now too. Like it could be something as simple as that, and it's not actually like a huge like 2-to-1 switch.
Hmm.
But moving forward, this is something that we got a lot of information about Hollywood, but not Orlando. So here's some information on our side. The Death Angels, which are the creatures, are huge. Sometimes you'll just see a claw or a head, but it also will be there in full with the head opening up. And they've
Mm, mm, mm.
yeah, and I mean they've described like they're not you can't have the full thing every time. It's impossible. They're humongous, and Charles Gray made sure to emphasize the size. It's not like they're going to try to shrink them. I mean, at least it didn't seem like he's going to try to shrink them to an unreasonable amount. So like there are going to be sections where it's just a hand or a claw or something, but the size of the creatures will be apparent, and we will see it. So that is really exciting for me.
It is because we've been talking since this was rumored about how one of the most important aspects of nailing this house is going to be those creatures and the fact that they are massive and that's not going to be easy to execute. And it seems like Charles really is saying that they focused on that and they really want to get them to an accurate scale. So that is a very exciting note from this.
Yeah, I completely agree. Here's a big point. Uh, the house will have subtle noises like leaves rustling and twigs breaking that you will only be able to hear if you're quiet. Now, we know HHN houses are extremely loud, and even quiet to HHN houses could be loud, so that might not necessarily be the case. But Charles Gray said it himself that, like, there are details and things that if you are not quiet, you will not get the full experience. You won't. Like, it just will not happen. And this is where a fear of mine comes in. I kind of want to jump in here. Is that so if the people in front of you aren't quiet or behind you aren't quiet, even if you're playing along, does that actually hurt your experience that much? That like you're just missing so many things in the house because the people in front of you or behind you decide to not shut the fuck up? Because you can't control them. No one can really control them. They're out of
No,
your, you
there's
know.
There's no way, right?
No.
Like it will actually have a big impact because people are screaming and yelling, and it's the nature of the event. So if they actually made it to the point where you'll be punished for noise in the group around you, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I wish they would tell me I couldn't scream. Like, I literally can't control that if I'm scared, and that's, like, their job,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
to scare us at this event. So, like, there shouldn't be punishment. It should be like a, "Hey," even if it's I don't know, even if it's like a, "Hey, this is an experiment. Can you be quiet? Can you survive the world of a quiet place?" Like, give it to us in that kind of a delivery
Hmm.
before we go in the house.
Right.
So, give us
Which
a cue video. We
they
don't
could.
know. Yeah.
That could like it could be the whole thing. You walk in and it's really emphasizing like you got to be quiet.
That'd
How
be
many
cool.
people will take that actually serious versus ha ha? I get
Yeah.
it. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen at all, so we might not see. But people are never going to be fully quiet. Like even if they want to be, there are people who cannot be quiet. It's just impossible in the nature of the event.
I'm gonna scream, I'm sorry.
And
Yeah.
that's my fear of this house. That's my main fear because like he was saying, he kept describing it like yes as experiment as like a role playing exercise to sort of pretend you're in the world and stuff like that. And that he said there's going to be two types of experiences. He said there's going to be one where you're screaming and going through the house and running through it and whatever. And there's the other type of experience if you're actually quiet and doing it that way, you're going to notice things. You're like it's going to be a different like it's probably going to be the better experience at the end of the day. And I hope that the differences between the two, um, aren't drastic to, like you said, Dolphin, if people are screaming around you or in your party or like behind you or whatever, if it actually hurts the house to a point where like if you don't do it at the end of the night or like hit it when it's dead for some reason, it's not even going to be worth, like waiting however many hours for, because it just hurts the experience that much. So like that is my fear. I you would think that they wouldn't do it like that. But there were some points brought up in this podcast that made me a little I don't know, we'll see.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I like the approach. I don't like the approach of like literally trusting everyone to be quiet. Like everything else sounds great. That part, I'm like, ooh, ooh, that's not gonna happen. But okay.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the next one on this list, limited sound bleed. Like they actually made a conscious effort, and we know from John Murdy that they did in Hollywood as well, to take sound bleed distortion at least to another level. If they can fully block it to extents, of course, phenomenal. Like they're obviously trying to make it work,
Mm.
which I'm happy about because I thought there was a chance that it's kind of just like, yeah, we padded the walls a little bit more. We'll see what happens. But it sounds like they really focused on trying to make this work and really like said here, limit the sound bleed throughout the house.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, should we get to another fun element that a lot of
Ugh.
people we posted like basically this whole thing we're talking about on Twitter, and this is the one thing that a lot of people sort of commented on. Yes, fake corn is in the house, and listen, Charles Gray said like, no, it's corn's fake. We know that doesn't matter in HHN terms. It does not matter if it's fake or
No.
real corn.
No,
Like
no, we've tested this theory before.
we did. So get ready, guys.
The universe doesn't care what kind of corn it is. Like, ugh,
I will say, our only hope it is in a house, not outside of a house, not in a scare zone, in a house.
True.
So maybe that breaks it.
yeah.
Cross our fingers. Let's hope, right? Um, and this was another interesting one. I think Charles Gray was asked like, "Hey, what's one thing in this house that you saw in person?" And we're like, "Whoa, crazy to see." And he pointed out one of those things was the silo from the first movie is in the house, and it's huge, absolutely huge. He compared it like, listen, you see it on something on SketchUp or designing it, you see it, the dimensions, but until you see it, you don't realize how big it is. And he made sure to emphasize how huge this thing is. So that's gonna be fun.
Ironically, we just said how we'd ban someone for saying this after their unmasking
I know.
or two, and now we're just saying it on the podcast.
Listen. We gave a spoiler warning. Like we let people know what was going
Yeah,
on.
that's true. We tagged it. We
We
tagged
did
it.
tag it. I guess we tagged it as much as you can for a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. I hope you were paying attention.
um, some other things. Obviously, we'll see the basement, root cellar. There was no way we weren't going to see those locations. And last thing, there will be at least one room that is totally dead silent, like graveyard games.
That makes
Hell
sense.
yeah. Hell
That's what
yeah.
I want. Just one.
I think it was such an effective scene. Where they kind of tried it in Hill House again, in a slightly different way. But I think that Graveyard Game's execution was so perfect.
Mhm.
Um, I'm excited if they bring it back in that style again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
I've still never, and there, remember, no scare actors here, nothing. It was just
No.
a pitch black, silent, creepy room. I've never seen people exit a house as much as this one spot ever before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone exit any single house as much as I watched people exit in this one location of a house before. Like it
Oh
was
God.
crazy. It was always so backed up because people were like trying to talk to ops. Like I'm not doing that. No, absolutely not. And they backdoored him right out.
Yeah.
So, uh, always great for the scare level. Always super unsettling, and it's Halloween Horror Nights. That's kind of what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's all the details that they had for us. I don't think I cut everything, but we cut most of all the details on the podcast. And I
Hmm.
mean, there it is. That's probably the most detail we're gonna get until Unmasking the Horror starts if it's on the tour.
Which one do you think they're gonna leave out this year?
Hmm.
Ghostbusters.
They've had it on
Wasn't
the
that
tour
left out of
before
29 or
though.
not? Oh, it was in 29. Okay. I wasn't sure.
I think I don't know until I see him. I would
Mm.
say the one that's gonna look the worst with lights on, and I think there's a chance that that's I don't know. Either Quiet Place or Ghostbusters, I would say.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Don't you? This is my brain like having a ton of thoughts at once. So this isn't super related. But don't you think it's weird that all these details we got, pretty much every single detail, had nothing to do with part two? Like this is all part one stuff.
Oh,
Like
oh my
basically.
God, you're right. Yeah. Um, no, I expect it to be one heavy, anyways,
Hmm.
so it's not too shocking. Um, it is weird that there wasn't like a mention of anything specific from two, though,
Nothing. Yeah.
when we got such specific responses.
Very weird. Very strange.
You know what I learned from this little segment here?
What?
We are truly the worst at rapid fire. Like, we are terrible.
We did not rapid any
The
of
amount
that
of
fire.
like, I feel like we say rapid fire like once a month, and then we never rapid fire anything. We're just like, yeah, sure. All right, so let's talk in detail about this.
There's a reason we do long form content, and
Yeah, it's
every
true.
time we
It's
try
true.
to do short form, we're yelling at each other, going, "Stop talking." And then after we're done yelling at each other and saying, "Stop talking," the next person's going on a tangent. Like,
We
we're all
love it.
just we're four
Love a
hypocrites.
tangent.
We love
Love
to
it.
talk.
I will move us on from here, though, so we can go
Please.
to the next spot where we're going to talk about in park construction, where we are now past just lighting rigs popping up. We have actual Scarezone props out. So that is pretty exciting.
Ah,
I'm actually going to save that for when we get to that specific announcement, because it's an already announced Scare Zone, so we'll get there soon. But throughout most of the park, what you'll see, of course, more lighting rigs have popped up. Shocker, who would have thought? A lot of these lighting rigs that we'd seen previously are starting to get lights and speakers and all the equipment attached to them as well. If you go over to San Francisco, you actually have huge truss work that's basically a massive square that you would walk through. Like, it covers the whole walkway just outside of the Fast and Furious exit. Very large, very cool. And then there's also basically just like a scaffolding tower across from that, like right against the Fast and Furious exit. Um,
hmm. I think we
so
called that Barn Watch on our YouTube live.
yes,
That is
the
this year's
equivalent,
Barn
the
Watch.
equivalent of Barn Watch,
Yeah.
because it
And
definitely looks like it could be something that will become like a solid closed-in structure.
like a house.
At least as far as you could in a scare zone.
Maybe a house. We'll see.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Maybe.
House Watch 2024. Well, it's just right now. We're
We'll just keep
watching.
calling it, we'll call it Barn Watch until we know.
Yeah.
It's still Barn Watch. But yeah, outside of the scare zone, then props that we'll discuss shortly, mainly still lighting rigs, and those lighting rigs getting their lights and speakers. And also on top of the roofs in Hollywood and New York, they're getting their show lighting for HHN as well.
Amazing. Oh,
I love construction season.
and I know in terms of San Francisco, they also got rid of the cars at the exit, the Fast and Furious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, they've created that space now outside of the exit of Fast and Furious.
Awesome.
Woo! Let's
Oh,
go.
Peacock Bar as well. Got the big like where the photo op was last time.
Like a stage.
It's like a little mini stage. It looks like
Maybe for like, I don't know, somebody that dances a little bit.
maybe it's definitely like a one person
Yeah.
thing.
Like a one doll size. I don't know.
Maybe
Did you guys know, to bring up something relevant in pop culture before we, we get into the rest of this, that Hello Kitty is not a cat? She is a little British girl in a cat costume.
yeah, I saw that, and like very convincing costumes, I must say.
We were saying that's her fursona, and that is the most convincing fursuit we have ever seen.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
Also, literally lives in it,
Yeah, and she has a twin that does the same, and her boyfriend does it, and all of her friends, and
and
like
like parents and stuff. I
she
think, right?
really she found her tribe. She found her
Yeah.
chosen family.
Everyone deserves that in life.
But yeah, she's not a cat. She's a little girl. A little British girl specifically.
Okay.
You're welcome, Jonathan. I'm glad to educate you. That Duff and I could
Thank you for
educate
the
you today.
information.
I went to Epcot today for a little bit, and there was a dad screaming, saying, "What do you mean she's not a cat?" And I was laughing so hard. So let's move back on to HHN.
There we go.
Well, if you want, Jess, we're gonna go right into these announcements.
Oh, do you think Hello Kitty will be there?
In the park, yeah, technically.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll take the first one, I guess, that was announced last. So we got this was also, I guess, part of the leak before it was announced, but it has been announced now. Nightmare Fuel Nocturnal Circus. So Nightmare Fuel is back. We knew that. I guess it was on spec maps for a while, right? With the flame. And so yeah, it's here and it says step right up to a dark circus, a new nightmare that carries with it a sinister curse. It's a thrilling spectacle of pyro and aerialists. No mention of the Fuel Girls.
However, the Fuel Girls themselves have posted a like "we're back" thing to go
Yeah,
along with the announcement. So
we knew they were back before
yeah,
it was announced, but like
and they're already like in the park taking photos and shit. Like,
that's true. Okay, so I hope that this means something completely new. I know it did say something about the Dreamer
yeah, they're in wherever the longer description
Instagram.
is. Maybe Instagram. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something about like I think it directly says Dreamer or something along those lines.
Oh.
So it sounds like we're gonna keep that like literal nightmare aspect, like it is someone's nightmare. But
Yeah.
at least this is a completely different theme, which is something exciting about it. Not
Yeah.
that sounded terrible. So something
Something.
exciting. Jeez, God.
It's exciting. It's a
Um,
show.
yeah, I like again. I enjoy it a couple times a season, so it is very nice that we're moving on from basically having the same
Mhm.
exact theme 3 years in a row. So I am excited for that.
What's
Yeah. This opens up like music, maybe even music we heard last year, like callbacks to Oddfellow a little bit.
maybe
Yeah, maybe that could be cool.
what's gonna happen is the dreamer is gonna go to sleep in the bed, and then they're gonna disappear, and then
And someone's gonna wake up.
someone's gonna wake up and get out of bed, and then the music is gonna start to go.
Jonathan, do you think they're then gonna get inside that ball that they like set on
I
fire
think
and then they
so.
disappear again?
I do. I
They
think they
really
are
do
gonna do that.
disappear and reappear. That's the thing. I hope that like it's brand new like stunts and brand new effects because then it'll be a whole new show. And I
Yeah.
know that last year there were some new ones, but some of them were the same.
Mhm.
And that's where you really lost me because then to me, if it's the same kind of like theme of a dreamer with the same kind of effects, I get a little sleepy
Hmm.
because I've seen it before. But like I'm someone I was talking about on the YouTube live that we did the other day, Duff. Like I love Cirque du Soleil. If this was presented in more of like a short form version of Cirque, I think it would be perfect. I think we need almost like a little bit of comedy throughout the show. We need like a high and a low. We need to be on the edge of our seats and then laugh for a second because we don't have that at the event anymore.
Hmm.
So that's the whole point of Cirque du Soleil is like you have the aerialists, you have the acrobats, and then you have the clowns or like whatever the clown is for that show. So I don't know what that would be in this setting. Maybe it's like a magician almost like a close-up magician that goes in the crowd for a couple minutes in between. I don't know what the answer is, but for me that would make the show more perfect. Right now it's just like a couple times a season and then I'm done.
Hmm.
But now I don't have Express this year, so maybe I will have
I'm
more
sure
of a
you'll be seeing
reason.
it a lot more now because you
Yeah.
just grab a nice little drink, go have a seat, be hot as fuck,
I have my
and
fan.
yeah, that's true.
I've upgraded this year. You guys have not seen my new fan.
You're just bringing out like a whole tower fan with you now
She
to
is
HHN.
5-speed fan this
Oh,
year? Yeah,
oh
yeah, you
my,
can't yeah, you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
that's a manual.
Yeah. I'm ready, but what do you guys think? Besides what I mean, it's a show. I know, Jonathan, you're, like,
I
on the edge of your seat to talk.
Yes.
I really hope the bed's gone.
But it's their that's, like, the most
It's
iconic.
gonna start with
Listen,
the bed. There's no way they don't start with
it
the
could be
bed.
like a hypnotism type falling asleep in a chair. I don't know. Just like
Yeah. Pulled from
I
the crowd, kind of a gag, that'd be
I
cool.
get that's the thing, but like do it some other way, please,
I just want
please.
brand new from top to bottom. I know it's gonna be, like, a lot of the same cast, and I love that, like, the redheaded guy, like, he's great. I hope they're all back. I love the Fuel Girls, they're hot as shit. but just I want everything brand new. Like, please.
Agreed. Agreed.
Callbacks in fun ways, but new.
Yeah. I like this theme. Like I hope they go all in with it, and it is very much circus theme. And I do think that's something I would jive with more. And I'm gonna see it once, and if I like it, maybe a couple more times. Depending, since I'm probably not gonna have Express. But it's I feel the same way about it. I felt about it every year. It's not for me, and that's okay. And I feel like on social media, especially with this particular announcement, I've seen like two sides of the spectrum. There's one being like, if you don't like Nightmare Fuel, oh my, how dare you? You have to, you have no taste. Ugh. Then other people are like, you like Nightmare Fuel? Ugh. That's disgusting. When the answer is just like, Horror Night should have multiple shows where this isn't even like a discussion. Like it should have the show like Nightmare Fuel that's more special like stunt heavy and dancing heavy, and then should also have a show that's more comedic, or whatever, or even like in a way the Lagoon show was. It wasn't like I don't know like super comedic, but it wasn't as like dark as Nightmare Fuel is or whatever. I think you guys are understanding what I'm trying to say. They should have two. And it's looking like this year we're only having the one. And I do think that's the problem. That if we've had one show that was more dark and one show that was more light, that it would balance out and no one would be fighting about if they like Nightmare Fuel or not, because they'd have another show. So I hope maybe next year we'll get back into that and have maybe two shows that both serve different purposes. But it's basically this show is you like it or you don't. It's your thing or it isn't.
Hmm. I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
It's your thing or it isn't. Is this is one of the most like hate it or love it things I've seen at HHN.
Yeah.
So, but it's back. It's got a new theme, so I'm excited to see how that plays out and hopefully how it changes the show quite a bit.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next announcement where we're going to talk about the first Scarezone for HHN 33. And I'm actually really excited for this one. And that is Torture Fair. Come one, come all to the Renaissance Fair. Brave the gloriously gory medieval torture devices till you're put out of your misery. Now, I'm not someone who actually has ever been to a Ren Fair. I think that they sound cool and I should go, to be honest, but I haven't. But this sounds badass. Kind of like a Ren Fair gone wrong / real.
Gone right.
Gone right. It sounds like we're gonna get a lot of like medieval kills. Why can't I think of any of them?
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, there we go.
Um
Breaking
uh,
Wheel.
Yeah, Breaking Wheel. Oh my god. Anything. Like I just want to see somebody clubbing the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
Guillotines, maybe.
yeah, barbarian. I had like a hanging, like all of it. I want someone like in a gallows. Like
Mhm.
I want someone shackled up. Like I'm so fucking excited. I realized how silly this is gonna sound because I was like, I don't like fantasy. I love Renfest and I grew up going to them. This is the one realm where that's a fucking lie, and I love fantasy. So I'm ready. I have like a whole outfit I could wear to this fucking zone. I'm so excited. I really hope that this is like in New York or somewhere where there's a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
I just want them to spread out. I want to see like interactive, like kind of how the purge zones used to be, where like I mean, they're not going to be auctioning people off, but like a live like beheading or a live
Or will they
beating.
be?
Maybe. I don't know. That's exciting.
Hmm.
But I just think that's really fun. And then also if like this wasn't like New York, the tribute store could be like a castle or something. And
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many silly things too, because we could have merchants like we had for Vamp last year, like booths and stuff like that, an apothecary. There's so many things at Renfest. We could have a joust. And at like a joust, there's always like an adult themed joust, at least at the Renfest I grew up going to. So there's like fake blood involved. And they're like combat fighting each other. So like this is fucking cool.
Hmm.
And Ramon said on Twitter that this is going to be pulling from like some old HHN gags
Mm-hmm.
or feel like
Yeah.
old HHN, whatever.
Yeah, I think he said
specifically
like if along the lines of like if you're an old HHN fan, you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
So it really does sound like this is going to be gory at the very least. Not only because of Ramon's comment, because it literally says so
Yeah.
in the
There's
description.
Ray. Oh my god, I'm gonna beat the
Gloriously
fuck out of
gory
this zone.
at that. So yeah, I'm very excited. Jonathan, what do you think about Torture Fair?
I mean, I'm agreeing with both of you guys. This sounds fucking badass. This sounds incredible. The amount of effects they can, I always have a thing. I've been very adamant that I don't love stages. I think they take away some, sometimes from the experiences. They have to be done a certain way to be done right. However, with Torture Fair, if all the stages are like crazy torture devices where people are being like, slaughtered in various ways, I'm all for that. That actually sounds fucking fantastic. I want to see that. That's amazing. That's such a cool concept for a zone. And I mean, even with the theme to Renaissance, you can have really cool music and costumes for people walking in the zones, different types of, like, lights and stuff. Like there's so much they can do with this. And it's just so, I mean, it's just such a cool idea, and this is something that I read. And I'm like, they haven't done this before. It seems like such an easy thing, like or such a just smart idea for an HHN zone. So I absolutely love it, and I also love that this zone and the next one were complete surprises to everyone, because I don't think any person was expecting, like, not even just a Scarezone announcement on that day, but also it to be something that was on nothing, no speculation at all. It to just pop up and be like, "Hey, we're having a Renaissance torture fair zone." Like, whoa, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm really hyped for this.
Now, there is one more Scare Zone announcement you received. Not all five, like people thought we were going to get this week, because none of us know how to comprehend statements,
Not a
apparently,
single
but
person really.
not a single person. We only got two. And the second of those would be Swamp of the Undead. In Backwaters, Louisiana, you're about to be swamped by zombies born from the bodies of trespassers killed and dumped in a nearby bog. Now, we immediately all went, this has to be the Central Park Zone, right? Well, it's the Central Park Zone if we go to construction. I'll say that much. But before we talk about how it looks, how do you guys feel about Swamp of the Undead?
I'm excited. I'm really excited. Well, okay, I'm half excited, half a little worried. I guess I can explain that. The excited part comes from the atmosphere and of a swamp in Louisiana, and just it, likely being in Central Park, and some of the stuff that was put out that we'll talk about later. I think it's just gonna have a really good atmosphere, cool music, ambient sounds, lighting. That's what I love out of a Central Park zone. If you can just hit, like take a theme and really run with it and use the trees to your advantage and whatever, like it just makes for a very immersive environment compared to a lot of other zones that can't get that immersive. Central Park can, and a swamp, perfect idea for that location. It's just going to be like just a vibe to walk through. The thing that I am kind of worried about is I don't know why we have to go with zombies. I'm hoping that even if they're zombies, they're like less traditional zombies and more, I don't know, like more tied directly to the swamp. Like they're zombies, but they're not. I don't know. I hope they find an interesting spin on zombies, so it doesn't just feel generic. And I think they can do that. But that's my fear. But I think they can work around that. But in terms of just the actual location and everything like that, I am very hyped for this, because I know there has been like swamps and sort of those atmosphere like before at HHN, but since I haven't experienced that, I'm I mean, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. It's been a while. I mean, you could say Dead Waters is like the last time I can think of
Hmm.
like a swamp. And that would have been 2017.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Duff, you brought up the zone that Dead Waters is Bayou.
Bayou of Blood, which actually was 24, so it'll be like a 10-year
Yeah.
anniversary.
In the same kind of
Same location.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited because I love the props that are out already, and the construction that's going on. I think that it's fitting really well. And something I noticed immediately were the mirrors on like the bottom of the boats and stuff.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And if they're gonna do that fog effect that I love so much from like the depths at knots, where it cannot be anywhere near as high as that is, but like ankle or calf high here, I'm gonna be eating that shit up.
Yes, I think everyone's kind of leaning into that now,
Yeah.
being a realistic possibility, even though none of us actually know. It just kind of makes too much sense not to happen. But spoiler alert for the construction section, there are low lying lights, like
Hmm.
waist level and below.
Yeah.
So
That's how that effect works. I don't know,
yeah.
because it's not just one prop that has mirrors on it. It's like multiple.
Hmm.
So that just seems very intentional to me. I really like the key art for this. I think that's really fun.
Yes, I think it's the best they've had, including the houses.
Yeah. Oh, I love the little gator at the bottom. And my favorite HHN original house takes place in Louisiana, so maybe
That is
maybe
true.
that means something.
Will this
So
be an Ascension Parish?
oh, Duff,
Can you
if
imagine?
if we see that, you're you're never getting Duff and I out of that fucking zone. It'd be like, fuck the express. Just gonna be kicking our feet in the fog. Just tee.
Yeah, that would be special to say the least.
Oh my god, I hope.
I am excited about the base concept. If you watch the live, I don't want to kind of repeat what I said too much, but I do have a concern that it can go too simple with the concept, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you execute it well enough, then it really doesn't matter if you didn't try to make it complex at all. But it, it sounds like it, if they go the easy route, literally just here's a swamp and here are zombies in it. Like no way of telling story, no props that are truly special, although might not be the case. We'll talk about that. So we'll see. I think Torture Fair is more of an exciting concept to me, where this feels safer.
I do agree with
So
that.
we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about that construction that's popped up, because as of now, this is the only zone that has received any actual props, and these props lead us to believe that this 100% is Swamp of the Undead. Um, there are about five actual like prop, I guess like seven now actually prop pieces out. Uh, Most of them are gonna be like almost like docks, boardwalk, like raised wooden platforms. Um, Two of them have boats kind of off the edge, like sunken boats, and this is where you'll see the mirror effect that Jess mentioned at the bottom to really kind of add that depth, like it is water and it's sinking. And it looks really cool. Even in daytime, you can almost see that effect working. A lot of other things like kind of just broken, bashed up, falling apart wood. A lot of like rusted out barrels. Um, Even one of the docks is collapsing. Like one half is still standing and it's collapsed in the middle. So that's a cool little set piece. And now they've added like this like raised outpost that's on stilts. That's going to be
Mhm.
behind the fences, so not actually out in the walkway. Um, it's tough to tell if it could be used for a scare actor, but because it's behind the fence, there's more of a chance it could be. So we'll see if that happens. But um, it is cool to see how many props have already gone out when we went from literally no scare zone props to like this zone is prop the fuck out.
Yeah. I mean, last year, didn't we? I feel like we started getting like hippie kind of shit before we got the vamp announcement.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So, I mean, we got the announcement and then we got like all of this shit. So I'm hoping, that leak that wasn't a leak was dated for this week. So we get the
Hmm.
rest of it and then Barn
And then I
Watch turns
start going.
into House Watch and
Yeah. I will say, if we compare it with last year, this is only about a week ahead of when we got actual scare zone props out.
mm,
It not May not even a full week. I'd have to look at that again.
yeah,
So we're pretty much on that schedule, which means by like the first week of August, we should start to get like themed propping basically everywhere.
that's true. Wow. Good, because that's the week I'm getting my annual pass again.
No,
So
perfect. Look at that.
I'll be back in the park for construction updates.
See
So
you there.
yeah, we'll get to do them together.
Look at that. Back to the old days.
Wow, maybe we can do like a live again, like the
Ooh,
good old days.
wow, crazy.
my God. It really is
Haven't done
construction
that in a
season.
long time.
I know.
But yeah, so that's current state of construction for Swamp of the Undead, and it's very exciting to see. I love it. My favorite part of it. I always say my favorite part of the year, but I do love this part of the year, even if it's not actually my favorite. I'd rather be at the event, but
Favorite part of
it's pretty
preseason.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But before we wrap up, we do have voicemails.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick White from St. Louis, Missouri, and the Toxic Icon podcast. And I just wanted to call in and let you guys know that we seriously appreciate you guys. You guys may not know this, but HHN 365 is a big part of why we decided to start our podcast up here in St. Louis. We tune in all the time. You guys' episodes are just so enjoyable to listen to, and it really feels like a family. It feels like a close-knit atmosphere, and we really appreciate that. Like, I'm out Instacarting right now, just making some side bread and just kind of in and out of the stores, listening to you guys and getting hyped up for HHN. I just want to say you guys are awesome, and maybe one day we will all cross paths in the park. I know you guys are going to see the event a whole lot more than we will. We've got one weekend we're going to be down there. But either way, we just seriously appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Please, please, please keep it up. I hope you guys know that you guys have made a humongous impact on the community. And one day I would love for all of us to hang out and kind of chop it up and talk HHN. You guys are awesome. And if I could leave you guys with one question, I think that question would be, if you could have any IP from HHN 29 and back, what would that IP be, and would you bring it to either Orlando or Hollywood? Let's have a cool debate. See you guys later. Talk to you guys soon.
Oh man, thanks so much for the kind words. Whew. We definitely don't
Yeah.
think of ourselves as impactful or important, but it's
Thank
really nice
you.
to hear anyone say something like that. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
For the question, 29 and back,
Specifically an
IP would bring
IP.
back. There's so many. I think if I had to pick one, it's going to be one I kind of go with a lot. It's going to be in the same IP but presented in a different way, and I'm going to say Jurassic Park, because it's something A, I didn't see. B, I don't like. I say I don't like it like I saw it, but I don't like the concept of what it was. I want to just see a straight up Jurassic Park happen one day. So that would be my answer.
You had a cheat of an answer. That's not
It
fair.
wasn't cheating. It's the
I
same
know.
property.
I know, but like,
He didn't say bring the same exact house back. He
well,
said
no, I know. So
bring the
that's
same
my
IP back.
my other thing. So like, if it's the same exact house, I have a very different answer. If it's just the IP,
I mean, he just said IP.
no, I know, I know. Damn, because also my answer would be Beetlejuice, but that's not 29. Like, do it better. God
Just
damn
missed
it.
the cut. Just missed the
Fuck.
cut.
Jonathan, do you have an answer while I think or no?
I do, and just because I got so interested in it during rumor season, and that's Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, Dreamwalkers, I guess, for that specific IP or the house, but do it in a different way. Of course, you can do a lot with Nightmare on Elm Street, even just like the original film or a combination. There's a lot you can do. I just want to see Freddy. Like, I really want to see him. I was when rumors season was going crazy with those rumors. I was like, man, I'm so excited for see Freddy Krueger for my first time at HHN, and when that didn't happen, I'm just like, God damn it, and I can't stop thinking about it now. So I would love to see him return and to see that IP in a house format.
That would have been my other answer, but
Oh,
I'm gonna
damn.
say something different. No, it's okay because I felt like that was too easy because that's also like that would be like very specifically for my husband too.
That's true.
Um, but Nick, I believe your name was also. You can find us at the event. Let us know what weekend you're there, and we can have a drink and chat it up because I would love to hear your opinions on the
Mhm.
event. We're always around, literally.
Always.
Maybe not together
Uh,
this year.
yeah. But we'll be there.
We will be there and we'll make it happen. Hit any one of us up or the podcast. Yeah, someone will answer. Jonathan will answer. He'll let us know. Okay, so I'm gonna selfishly say Friday the 13th because I want to see Jason at the event because I haven't seen him. I don't really care. I would love to see it just in its own house, like actually done, not like Freddy versus Jason or not like a mashup. Just like give me a Friday the 13th. I don't care which movie, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you made that sound tougher than it is for you. I thought like that should be like your easy
It
answer.
is, but I feel like that's like too easy. I wanted to be a little bit more creative.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's very low hanging fruit for me, you know.
Yeah, no, it is.
But yeah, thank you so much for your voicemail. We have one more.
Hey, what it is, y'all? Man, it's been a minute. Cancer been acting up, so, took a break. But I'm back, and what do you know? We got an announcement. We got Insidious. So, I ain't never seen Insidious, any of them, none of them, not one of them. So, I gotta start doing my homework and watching that shit. But I'm excited for it. How you guys feeling about it? And, yeah, man, I'm just ready. I'm ready for HHN to start because what the fuck else are we doing, man? So yeah, we got one more house left. What do we think it is? I don't know, man. I'm hearing rumors. I've heard something about Bill and Ted. That would be kind of cool if they did something with that. But yeah, I just wanted to call and say, you know the typical. I love y'all like I love y'all. I just wanted to bless y'all with my voice. And, since nobody called in last week, I figured I better show up and show out. So here the fuck I am. And anyways, yeah. So let's get it. You know the drill. Love y'all like I love y'all. Peace out.
Yeah, blessed we are with another voicemail from you. And hope everything's working out health-wise. Hope you're doing a lot better now, too. That's sad to hear. But great to hear from you, as always. So, questions. 10th house announcement and the Bill and Ted rumor. 10th house, I think we're all going to say it's Universal Monsters.
Yep.
Yep.
There is a more specific answer if you want to go searching for it. But Universal Monsters is what we would have said, regardless of if that would have happened. Bill and Ted sounds like it's not going to be the case at this point. Again, safely from the announcement we heard, and also the other thing going around that kind of tells us how many there are. So, yeah, unfortunately, would love to see Bill and Ted or a comedy show back, but I don't know if you guys have other opinions on that, but it does not seem like it's coming this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know where it would go, and we don't have any like announcement of a closure for like animal actors anytime soon. So I don't think we're getting another show regardless, unfortunately. But yeah,
I was listening to the latest Scream Gritting Host podcast, and I think Brad was like, "Isn't it funny that every year, and it happened this year again, there's a rumor about the Fear Factor Live Stadium closing, and and it's not going to be used." I think it was Screamscape this year that said that, and then every year that's wrong, and it's always used. So that happened again this year, which is kind of funny.
I feel like Universal's just fucking with us at this point.
Exactly. Oh, we're just someone's like, hey, let's tell these guys that Fear Factor is gonna close. They'll eat it up.
Every year, it's true. Jeez.
We'll always be like, maybe this is the year. It makes sense.
Are we fools?
Yes.
Okay, fair. Yeah, you're right.
We knew the answer to that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it's good to hear from you. We missed hearing your voice. I like Duff said, I hope everything is getting better. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
I'm sure we will. Maybe we'll announce something. We'll see you at next episode, potentially. Maybe.
What a good way to hint at something everybody should look out for.
All right, with that, though, we will wrap up this week's episode. So if you want to give us a follow, that's Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at HHN365. Especially go check out that YouTube. We're trying to really get things ramped up going into the season. We're doing a lot more live streams, some actual just videos coming soonish. So definitely go to the YouTube and give us a subscription if you don't mind. Also, our TikTok at HHN365pod. You can join our Discord server. That link will be in the description, so you can discuss daily with over 800 members now. So it's a pretty fun, active Discord we got going. Check out our merch at hhn365.com. And if you want to join and leave a voicemail yourself, you can do that at 407-906-4134. And other than that, we will see you next week, and we will see you in the streets.